Hey, what's up? Zach here. And yeah, today I've got the all-new KD15, and there are some striking differences between the KD15 and the 14, some pros and cons. So let's get into all of them. Now, starting off in the uppers, the KD15 has one obvious thing missing from it, and that is the Velcro strap, or that scythe that comes over the top of it. Instead, it's got these TPU winglets that integrate into the lace line on the lateral and on the medial side. Now, the laces don't go through every eyelet there. They actually skip some and are integrated into the shoe, which I actually like because the laces are then tying down the fabric layer of the shoe, giving you more of a secure lockdown, but also lock into that TPU, which gives you more lateral stability or lateral containment. And at least in my opinion, the one huge upgrade from the 14s to the 15s is the ventilated tongue. It is still a double layer padded tongue with a mesh netting over it, but it allows a lot more efficient airflow than the 14s did. The 14s were a nice upper shoe, don't get me wrong, but they could trap heat, whereas in these ones, they just breathe a lot better. But the one design choice that's really prominent on this is that swooped ankle collar, whereas the KD14 is a little higher. The 15s, that swooped ankle here allows a lot more degrees of freedom. So the shoe is just a little bit easier to move around the ankle. But if you like that more secure feeling around your ankle, you know, the 15s just are a little bit more minimal around the ankle collar than the 14s were. But by far one of my favorite parts of the KD15, and it's kind of one of those blink and you'll miss it designs, is this bump here in the back of the heel. Now, a lot of it, yeah, is bunting, it's padding. However, if you put your finger back there, it is scooped in the back. Now, that's right where your Achilles tendon attaches to your heel bone, the calcaneus. Now, what I love about that is it will accommodate people with Achilles tendonitis and just allow your foot to seat back into the shoe better, giving you better lockdown. So even though the KD15 does have a lower ankle collar, the lockdown is still just as good as something like the 14s or with a higher ankle collar. It's just a super ergonomic and anatomic design element of the shoe that really gives a superior lockdown to most other shoes, just using kind of the natural curves of your body in the design of the shoe. And on the upper durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, I actually had to do this one twice because I didn't trust my results, but there's this semi-translucent toe drag guard here on the cap of the toe, which the 14 does not have. Now that's a really slick material, and the Dremel just could not bite down on it, so really no damage to it whatsoever, which is really incredible. And that really does bode well if you're playing with these on more gritty surfaces. So if you're dragging your toe along, or even just on hardwood, these are not gonna buckle, which is really nice. They kind of just used a little bit more of an efficient material once again to produce more superior durability without having to kind of stack the shoe and add weight. And getting into the midsole teardown, there is a lot of similar elements to this. It is a whole bed of Cushlon foam and then a Zoom Strobel unit on top of that, so it is really plush underfoot. However, the big difference is the shank of the KD15s is now bottom loaded, so there's a ton of Cushlon foam between your foot and that shank. Shank is also just a tad longer in the shoe. And if you look at the jump height test, I got 40 centimeters of jump height on these. Just a little bit more of an efficient midsole, a little bit more of an efficient design, because in the 14s, that shank was right underfoot and it was the only really thing connecting the rear foot and the forefoot. And so the shoe could almost buckle under you if you were really trying to violently push off. However, on these, because there is all that Cushlon foam under there too, just a little bit more of an efficient design, just gives a little bit more spring back, a little more reverb, a little more elasticity, and thus better jump height. And yes, I do realize I'm contradicting some previous reviews where I've said I do like the shank as close to the foot muscles as possible, so higher up in the midsole. However, when you have a shoe like the 15s where that shank is pretty flexible, or even the 14s, if the shank is right under the foot and then there's really nothing else connecting the rear and forefoot, then that shank just gets a lot of stress put on it. If it's not a really hard plastic or carbon fiber, that's when it starts to buckle. And getting into the outsole tread, this is kind of where the 14s and the 15s really start to diverge. The 15 is more of a topographical map type pattern, almost looks like mountain peaks kind of on a map. However, what I noticed about the 15 is the treads are incredibly narrow. So they're really kind of on their own. There's really nothing shielding all of that rubber. Now, even though the treads of the KD15 are outstanding for indoor or outdoor use, they grip like crazy. The bad part is they are really far spread apart. So if you're gonna play with these on outdoor courts, you better get the EP version. It is still tacky enough and gripping enough on indoor courts to use them as your primary indoor shoe. They have a ton of grip on that hardwood. It's just, if you're gonna be playing outside, especially on something like this, like really kind of gritty outdoor asphalt, you're just gonna wear through the normal or kind of standard pair of these. So if you're gonna get them on outdoor courts, spend a little bit extra money, get the EP version, you'll thank yourself 4 months down the line. And what I found most interesting about that durability profile is if you just look at the durometer, it comes in at 14.8, which is pretty hard rubber. However, if you look at the Outsole durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, about 1.5 millimeters of damage on a 3 millimeter tread depth. All these little outcroppings are just kind of all out on their own. So as soon as they kind of interact or bite into something that's a little bit grittier, they're going to start wearing down, versus on some other treads, they're a little wider on there, they're going to be a little bit shielded by that. Now, the flip side of that is, like I said, you get incredible grip on no matter what surface you're putting these on. It's just, there kind of has to be a sacrifice somewhere. But the one thing I'm glad that stayed relatively the same between the 14s and the 15s is the fit. If you're a narrow or medium foot, you can just go true to size. The lockdown on these is really secure. If you are a 2E, you can just go true to size if you want a 1-to-1 fit. Just be ready for about a 20 to 30 minute break-in until the forefoot kind of releases a little bit. But by far the best part of the fit of the 15s is that if you have ball of foot pain, heel pain, tendonitis, flat foot pain, Achilles tendonitis, whatever, there's really something for everybody in these shoes. The Cushlon plus Zoom Strobel is so comfortable in these. They really accommodate a lot of feet. If you throw an orthotic in these, the lockdown is still really good. The uppers are really plush and secure. So no matter what you're really bringing to the basketball court, these probably have something for you. And in terms of playability, I think the best way to start to describe it is looking at the Shuttle Test. I came in at 14.37 seconds on the KD15, which is a new record for me in basketball shoes. They are not the 14s when it comes to playability. They're a much more streamlined shoe. They are much quicker on the court than the 14s. What I found really interesting is that most of the speed and kind of most of the playability, at least in my head psychologically, came from me having so much confidence from the forefoot cushion. Now, if you look at the midsoles, they look pretty much the same except for the placement of that shank. However, that's what makes all the difference. You have a lot more Cushlon under the ball of your foot, which gives the ball of your foot a much better mechanical advantage. But because it's Cushlon, you also kind of sink into it a little bit and can feel the ground better, especially with that really nice and broad set outsole tread. So you're still getting that incredible grip and kind of confidence in the forefoot, but you're also able to propulse and push off much more efficiently, much quicker than something like the KD14. And the other nice thing about the 15s is it's built like a more maximalist shoe in the rear foot, but in the mid and forefoot, it's built like a more speed focused shoe. So this thing cuts through the air a lot better than some other shoes in its class just because of the engineering of it. Now, I will say the KD14s are a little bit more stable than the 15s. The heel is just a little bit flatter on the ground on these. The heel shape of them is just a little more flat, so you get a little more contact in the rear foot. Now, the 15s are not a bad shoe for instability or ankle sprainers by any means. I actually think they're really good. But if you are looking for a shoe for maximum stability, the KD14s just do have a little bit more lateral stability. So if that's your only concern, I probably would just stock up on old colorways of the 14s. However, like I said, in the 15, they're by no means bad for any of that. It's just not as good as the 14s. But you know, the best part of the playability of the 15s is that you could make such quick cuts going side to side. That really rugged support in the TPU pieces here does give a lot of lateral stability and a lot of speed going side to side, but also you can really pick up and move going in a straight line in these. So these are kind of the ultimate tweener shoe. They really kind of span across different positions as well as foot types and kind of footwork styles. So no matter if you're a huge center in the paint, need something to kind of support your foot and protect your foot, or you're kind of a more shifty guard, kind of playing on the perimeter and kind of need to outwork somebody with your feet, or just trying to blow past someone and try to beat someone with speed, you know, these are going to give you a little bit of a pickup. So no matter what kind of position you're playing on court, these are kind of the best all-around playing shoes I've played in this year. Kind of these and the Anta KT7 just can kind of be put into anybody's feet or any position and still play really well. But of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you looking to pick up the 15s, or are you going and stocking up on old colorways of the 14s? Let me know in the comments down below. And at least in my opinion, I think Nike hit an absolute home run with the 15s. I think they fixed one of the biggest problems of the 14s, which is their straight line speed, the ability to make really quick side-to-side cuts and just the confidence to make side-to-side cuts, but also be able to get up and down the court a little bit quicker. I think just the really subtle tweaks they made were absolute winners. However, if you are more interested in a more maximalist, more just stability focused shoe, then check out my review and teardown of the KD14 up above and subscribe down below. Respect to rubber and foam. I'll see you in the next video.